Hello and welcome to this exciting video where we'll use Dagster to orchestrate DLT and DBT and then store it into DuckDB. This is a continuation on a previous video where I did the same thing but for Snowflake. Now we'll change the data warehouse from Snowflake to a local DuckDB memory database. This will be quite interesting as it is quite easy to change it. There's just a few configurations to change, and this is the point with modern data stack, that it's quite easy to just replace one component with another one, that you have different alternatives. For example, you feel like, oh, Snowflake costs a lot. Is it possible to develop a local version? Yes, we have DuckDB. Can we use that instead? And also later on, if you want, you can still deploy the DuckDB pipeline. That is possible. And we will explore that later on. Let's move on to Visual Studio Code to see what we have now. Here I am in Visual Studio Code, and this time you can see that it's not empty because I have copied this code from the previous video about the Snowflake version. Here we have a working pipeline with Dagster that it goes into Snowflake. What we have is that I will just go through this briefly. We have data extract load. This is ELT extract load part, which is done with DLT. You can see here is the DLT. We have request, we have JSON. And then you can see here we have this get ads, this function for getting the ads from job ads from the JobTech API. And afterwards we go into, you can see here, this is the resource where we go into this jobsearch.api.jobtechdev.se. And here we get our data, we yield this data, and then we put this resource into a source. And this source is what Dagster will use later on. And then afterwards we have data transformations in DBT. We have a lot of things in DBT that you can see that, for example, if you go into DBT project YAML, we have DBT code and the profile is DBT Snowflake. And this will go into Snowflake. The profile, you go into profiles.yaml inside of your home directory and then d.dbt/profiles. And there we have configured before the DBT Snowflake how the data will end up in Snowflake. Instead, we'll change this one later on that it points towards our DLT instead, towards DuckDB instead. I'll show you how to do that. Dagster later on. Here what we did was for orchestrating. We worked within one file because that is the simplest to get started with. We have this hack here. It's not optimal, but we haven't made it into a package. We haven't used Dagster in it. Okay, here what we need to do here is that you can see the destination of the DLT is going into Snowflake. And in order to do that, we have this .dlt, and inside there we have the secrets, which is the setup to get into Snowflake. We have our secrets, we have our connections, we have different setups that is needed. However, as we will not use Snowflake anymore, I will just delete this. Otherwise, most of the things remain the same. What we will do now is source.when bin activate. I will activate my virtual environment, and then let's close this down. Let's install some packages. Okay, it says audited packages. I have already installed it before. This is what you need. You need DBT DuckDB and you need DLT DuckDB. Also, we need to create our DuckDB file. Or we don't need to create it actually, because the idea is that it will create automatically for us when we use Dagster. What we need to do is create a folder. This is where I will place my DuckDB file. What you need to do now is to go into your profiles.yaml. Let's go into profiles.yaml, open --dbt/profiles.yaml. When you open it, you have this file here. Before I have just moved it down that it's not possible to see my other credentials. Let's create our connection to DBT, to DuckDB. I will call this dbt_DuckDB, colon. And here we'll have target, colon dev. And inside here we will have outputs, dev. Let's see, type, DuckDB, path. Okay, where do I want to be? Inside of data transformation, this is where my DBT lives. I want to be outside /data warehouse. This is the folder that I've created, this folder here, and then /jobads.duckdb. Actually, we do need to change it a little bit. I saw a mistake here. You should take it back here. They're in the same indentation. This looks correct. We'll try this out later on. Okay, let's modify this so that it works. We start with job ads. Here we can see the table name. It says job ads, but we will use technical field job ads. If you look into DBT here for, let me see, model, source, and we have sources here, and you can see here technical field job ads. This is the identifier. This is what we want the table name to be. I'll copy this one. I will go into my DLT and change this one so that we have it has our table name, technical field job ads. This is the first thing to change. And then the second thing, we was in our, you saw that in the profiles.yaml, we have a profile called dbt_duckdb. This we need to change as well, that in dbt project.yaml, we need to point to the correct one. It's called dbt code, this project name, but the profile is dbt Snowflake. Now I'll change that one to dbt_duckdb, and then I'll save this one. And that is it, because this will point towards that one. And remember that it has a path of /. With /, we go out from this data transformations, we go into /data warehouse, and inside there we'll create a DuckDB file that's called jobads.duckdb. Okay, and then we'll go into our definitions now. We'll go into our DLT assets, because this one is still pointing towards Snowflake. We will need to change that. And we will need to change it to DuckDB, and we also need to point it towards a specific destination of DuckDB. We need to point it towards this data warehouse folder, and there we'll need to point it towards a DuckDB file. To do that, let's we have our DLT imported. We can do DLT.destinations. Now we specify exactly where it should be. DB path, I call it. This is the database path. DB path equals to path, then the file. This is the path to exactly this file. And we'll go up one step. Now we're in Dagster orchestration, which is the root. And from here, we'll go down a step, data warehouse. We're inside this folder, and then there we'll go down a step, job ads. And that is it, because now we have this path to this folder, and inside there we have this job ads DB, this DLT assets. When we run our Dagster, it will start with extracting and loading the data from our job search API, and then put it into the staging schema of this jobads.db that is inside of data warehouse folder. And then we have our DBT, the transformation, which is also orchestrated in this file, and it's this Dagster project. It means that it will look to this, it will look on this directory, and inside there will look for jobads.duckdb. And how do we know that? Because we have specified the profiles.yaml inside .dbt. That is the idea. Okay, with this, we should be able to just run this one. To run this one, we do Dagster dev -f because this is a file. Or actually, we need to go into orchestration. cd orchestration Dagster dev-f. Let's see what it's called. Definitions.py. Run it. Let's say import DLT. Oh, we need to install. Okay, we need to install DLT. Let's close that one. uv pip install DLT. Okay, it is installed. Let's see. Oh, there could be an issue because I was copying the folder to this folder. There is a risk that I need to redo my virtual environment. Okay, let's run this again. Yeah, there's an importing errors here. Okay, I fixed the installation errors. Actually, the thing was I forgot to install Dagster DLT and Dagster DBT. What I did was uv pip install Dagster-DLT, Dagster-DBT, and also Dagster-web server. These were the packages that I also needed to install to make this work, because I apparently didn't have it before when I moved around the folders. Just make sure you have installed everything, and after that you can do Dagster dev-f because it's a file, definitions.py, and run this one, and it launches the Dagster services. Now we have this Dagster web server. If I click on this one, we'll go into here, and here you can see the assets, view lineage, and here you can see, in the last video we had Snowflake here, but now we have DuckDB, and you can see also we can set, I will actually make it scheduled. I'll close this down and I will schedule this to see that it will work automatically. Here, instead of 15, 13, this is minutes and these are hours in cron. Let's see what we have as minutes. Let's see 04 and let's see 14. Now it's 12 UTC. 12 UTC. Then I will run this again. Launching Dagster services in 2 minutes or like 1.5. Now 1 minute left. Okay, I'll go into this web server here. And you can see in my automations, we can see, I'll turn on these actions here. Just click on this one, turn on this one, start to automations. And what are these automations? We have the DLT load sensor and we have this DLT schedule. We have the schedule that says at 12:04 UTC, that is in 1 minute, then this will run, and then this DLT load sensor is the sensor that DBT will run when this has finished. Okay, this we set up in previous video. Let's go into the assets. We can view the lineage and you can see there's a schedule here. It says that 12:04 UTC, and you can see this is the cron schedule that we put in. And now it's 14:04 in Sweden. This means 12:04 UTC, and you can see it's running. It's materializing. Let's see what will happen. Okay, it is finished. And you can see it took some time for the DBT part to run. It's run after this one is finished. Let's hope that this will work. Yes, they worked as well. Cool. If they worked as expected, we should be able to see, if you look into this one, you can see the raw SQL here. What we do is that we create this dim table and this fact table, and we have this mart as well. We should have a warehouse schema with this dim occupation and this fact job ads. And also we should have a mart schema with this mart technical jobs. Let's look at that. Let's go into here. I'll just close this down. And you can see I didn't create manually a data warehouse, but you can see here we have this job ads.duckdb. Perfect. Now we have a job ads. Let's go into our data warehouse. And here let's do DuckDB-UI job ads.duckdb. Okay. Update extension, find Let's see. You can see it's connected to job ads. Let's do some description here. You can see there's a few in main. And here you have marts. You can see mart technical jobs. We have staging, a lot of staging. And we have 2 in warehouse. We have dim occupation and fact job ads. Cool. From marts.mart technical jobs, let's run that. Yes, we have data. Cool. Select. We can take a look into from warehouse. Warehouse dot, let's see, what do we have here? We should have dim occupation. And you can see this is the dim occupation. Great. We managed to change from Snowflake to DuckDB without any larger issues, I think. And you can see that I also scheduled the Dagster that it ran automatically for us. If the web server is on, then it will run each day at this particular time, 14:04 or 12:04 UTC. This was really cool, using Dagster to automate our data pipeline, and we changed to Snowflake to DuckDB without larger issues. Really cool that it is simple to just move one part out and replace it with another part. And now in using DuckDB, we don't have any costs at all. That is a major benefit. And as you can see, we managed also to schedule it, that you could see that it went automatically. That is also quite cool. I hope that you've learned a lot in this video, but if you haven't seen the video before, you should definitely take a look into that one, because that will set the foundation for this video. I will also link that one in the description here, and later on I will make another video on how you can take this further if you're working with the DuckDB. How can you summarize everything and then place it into Azure, how you can deploy it in a strategical way. That will be really fun to watch. I hope that you learned a lot in this video, and see you in the next one. Bye.